Good morning. Today I'm going to try to explain the sample space for flipping, not slipping, that should be an F. I'll fix that in a minute. For flipping a coin 4 times. So you flip it once and you get either a heads or a tails. And then you flip it again, you get a heads or a tails. And then you flip it again, you get a heads or a tails. And you flip it a 4th time, you get a heads or a tails. So if we go through and go down the line. So one time I get a head, a head, a head, and then a head. So over here on my sample space, I have heads, 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 heads. So that's this line right here is heads, 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 heads. Okay. So I go heads, 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 tails. So this line would be heads, 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 tails, and I would just come right that over here in my sample space. Heads, 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 and I don't have enough space. We'll put the T right there. Okay, so then I go again. Here we go. Heads. Okay, I go another heads, but this time this one's full, so I'm going to go down to tails, and then I go to heads. So my next line on the sample space would be heads, heads, tails, heads. And I'd come over here and write that down. And then here we go, heads, heads, tails, tails. So now I have heads, heads, tails, tails. That's my next part of the sample space. And then I'm going to keep moving down. I need another color. Here we go. Let's go blue. So I start here at heads, and now this one's full up here. So now I go this way, tails, heads, heads. So now I have heads, tails, heads, heads. Here we go, heads, tails, heads. Let me get rid of that one. I need to erase that right here. Okay, let's go back. So I was at heads, tails, heads. I missed one right here, tails. So then that's going to be heads, tails, heads, tails. And I'm going to keep going until I have all 16 of the options. So my next one would be heads, tails, tails, heads. And then I would have heads, tails, tails, tails. And then that completes this top version right here. And then I have to go down and do the same thing down here with tails. So I have tails, heads, heads, heads. And then I would have, so let me write that down over here, tails, heads, heads, tails. And then here I'd have tails, heads, heads, tails, right? Like I'm going to keep going down all the options until I have all 16 written. I hope this helps. If this doesn't help, please let me know and I will try again. Thank you.